How's it going, everybody? We are back on the Monday schedule. Back to Mondays. Holidays are over. Today, I'm doing a bit of a Q&A video. I actually did this for the very first video I did on this channel. I'm bringing it back. I took to Instagram the other day, asked for any questions you wanted, and I've got 18 questions, 18 holes out here at Sandusky Park, and I'm gonna go through them one at a time. Some good ones in there, some juicy ones, if you will. So let's get to it. Hole one, first question. All right, Joe wants to know, what is the favorite West Coast course that I played? For those of you who don't know, this past summer I got to tour the West Coast, play so many awesome iconic courses. Actually played with Joe in Oregon. That was a really fun course. I would have to say my favorite, it's a tough one. There were some really good ones, but my favorite was Wild Horse in Las Vegas. I know it's on a golf course, but it rocked. Super well maintained. They treated us like royalty out there. Beautiful property, so much fun. I also really liked Fountain Hills in Arizona. That was super iconic. Played a lot of cool courses, so. Okay, DM Riggs for question number 2 asked, do you ever get burnout on disc golf? And this might actually surprise people, but not really. And it actually kind of surprised me because when I was first playing disc golf a lot, I didn't get burnt out, but then as I got into college and I was taking disc golf really serious and playing constantly, I did get burnt out quite often. I would get tired of it. It didn't take much to get me back into it, but I would get burnt out. And when I graduated college, I had played a lot of disc golf. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep playing it nearly as much as I was. Then I got a job with Foundation. It became my life. But honestly, working in disc golf somehow has made me not get burnt out from disc golf. Now that it revolves around my life, I just really enjoy being in it. I don't know, I just haven't gotten burnt out. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it will happen someday, but as of this point, I still enjoy making content every day, playing it every day. It's something I really enjoy. I think being away from the competitive side of it actually kind of helps. I think when you're in the competitive side, it can be so much more frustrating, and that's how people get burnt out. But when you're just doing it for fun and to make content and actually for a job for me, I do really like it. So yeah, good question. I need to skip a little. Skip. All right, on to the third question. Philip wants to know, how often do I play a round of disc golf just for fun, not filming a video, not for content, just for fun? And the answer is not really often, hardly ever. Because disc golf is my job and it's something I do so often, it's not that I'm not motivated to play in my spare time, but it certainly isn't as pressing as it is for somebody who doesn't do this for their job and they're just dying to get out to the course. I am lucky that I get to spend a lot of time at the course. What I will say is it is very different playing a casual round. You know, I understand I'm very lucky to get to do disc golf things for a living. A lot of people would kill to do that. But I will say there is a big difference between me playing in front of a camera and doing it for work like I am right now, or doing it just with my buddies in our spare time, no cameras, no microphones, just playing. It is a lot of fun to do that. I would say it happens once every few months. And when it does, it's a lot of fun. And you know, this isn't a pity story or anything. Like I get to play a lot of disc golf. It's just not something I do very often just for fun. That looks nice. Oh, of course. That light pole is exactly where good forehands go. Okay, this next question, I got quite a few questions about, and you want to know about my signature disc. What is this whole thing with my signature disc? So for those of you who don't know, I recently announced that I signed on the creator team with Finish Line Disc this year, and I teased an upcoming signature disc. And I can't really spoil much, but what I can say is it is a disc that I really enjoy throwing, hint, hint. And it is also a pretty neat stamp. I hope you will be interested in checking it out. And it won't be too long until it releases. I'm not gonna make you wait. We're currently trying to get it turned around really as quickly as possible, so you shouldn't have to wait too much longer. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Ooh, talk about grip locked. It's gonna work though. So next we have a great question from D. Kelly, and D. Kelly wants to know, how can I look to find a working job in the disc golf industry? Now, I hear this a lot. There's a lot of people who want to work in disc golf, and I'm not going to gatekeep by any means, but I'll give you the honest truth about the disc golf industry. And that is, right now, it's trying to kind of find its feet and its identity. During the COVID boom, a lot of companies got cash rich. Nobody could meet demand, and nobody really knew what disc golf was going to become. All people knew is that there was money to be had. A lot of people started disc golf businesses, quit their day jobs, and jumped in feet first. That did not go well for everybody. Some people it did, some people it didn't. And right now, the disc golf industry is sort of settling back into a norm. What I would say right now is disc golf, like, if I'm being honest, there is not a lot of money in it. Now, in certain areas, you know, the manufacturers have been able to create pretty good self-sustaining businesses where they are able to pay a decent amount of employees a workable, livable wage, and that's awesome. Some players have now figured out how to make good, even great livings off the sport. But, you know, everywhere in between, there's a lot of people that are just kind of struggling along and grinding to try and make it work in the sport of disc golf. I got really lucky to get plugged in at an awesome company early on in the game. But that being said, you know, disc golf is a growing sport and there's always room for more. I would say that my biggest advice is, if you're planning on some kind of venture, whether that is starting a disc golf media venture or doing something where you're selling discs or dying discs or whatever you might be doing, don't just plan on jumping straight into it, leaving your other employment behind. Think of it as a side project that, as the sport grows and as it grows, could maybe turn into a full-time thing someday. Finding a niche that nobody else is in is still very possible when you have such a young sport. So explore that as well. Don't just do something that everybody else is doing unless you think you can do it way better. In that case, go for it. But, you know, just be wary, but also don't be discouraged. You know, there can be things to be done in disc golf, but you're probably not going to just find a job. You're probably going to have to create one. Oh no. Get left. Get left. Might have thrown that into the creek. I now have a question for you, the viewers. Does anybody have a spare Avery Jenkins destroyer that they would consider trading me? Because I just lost that one and I really liked it. I spent a while looking for it. It's a goner. That was really sad. You just can't flip it over on that shot. You just can't do it. Next question. Next question, what weight discs do you prefer throwing, and which type of disc do you favor, whether that be distance drivers, putters, mids, whatever? I definitely like to throw heavier discs. I fall into the sort of trap of like, you gotta throw max weight, this or that. I don't all the way fall into that. I've always kind of done putters and mids. I need to at least be within 3 to 4 grams of max weight, you know, pretty close. Drivers, I'm okay with going into like 167 and up, but I try to stay closer to the heavyweights. I don't think it's necessary. It's totally a preference thing. Obviously it does better in wind, but some people lean on that a little too much when maybe they should throw lighter weight discs, because lightweight discs can be really fun. Just maybe not if you live in Kansas. As far as what discs I like to lean towards, I've always been somebody who loves throwing putters. So that is what I like throwing the most. I'm gonna throw a Toro here. Oh, that's left. Well, that's okay, that's okay. Oh man, that was a decent putt. Next question, so what does joining Team Finish Line look for you? How does that all work? A lot of people have been wondering this. Anytime I announce a new sort of venture within the disc golf world, signing with somebody, collabing with somebody, people are always wondering like what that looks for me since I work for Foundation, how's that all pan out? So I have been on other teams in the past. I was on Team Dynamic before. This is a little different. I'm basically on the Finish Line creator team. They reached out to me, Drew and Marcus, and they're doing this thing this year where they're trying to lean on creators to get their brand out there, which I think is really smart, because the pros, they play with the discs on tour, which is cool, but the creators a lot of times do a lot of the grunt work when it comes to promoting discs and really getting information out there. They're not as busy with a touring schedule, like it's their job to make content. So I think this is a smart move on Finish Line's part. They reached out to me. I had already been bagging some Finish Line before. You guys know I throw the Super all the time. Really love this disc. And I was like, yeah, we can make something work. So for me, this isn't like a crazy huge heavy sponsorship. It's more of just a partnership between me and Finish Line, where they're going to help me out with this signature disc, which has been a dream of mine forever, and I'm super grateful for that. And I'm gonna bag a few of their molds, you know, maybe do a few little shout outs when their new molds come out, show them to you, get their brand out there a little bit. And yeah, it's just kind of a scratch each other's back situation, and it should be a lot of fun. I like their brand. I like working with Drew and Marcus. They've been super cool, so I'm really excited about that. So I'll put the plug in there. If you haven't checked out Finish Line Discs yet, we sell them at foundationdisc.com. They have a bunch of molds. I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sponsored, I wouldn't do that to you. I genuinely have not thrown a mold from them that I did not really like the way it flew. They have a lot of solid stuff, so check it out. Is that an ace? Is that an ace? Ooh! Oh, that's a putt. That's better. Great question here. What is my favorite? Great question here. Who is my favorite Chelsea player, past or present? For those of you who don't know, Chelsea is my favorite football club. I really enjoy watching them. This year and last year has not been super fun. First players that come to mind: Eden Hazard, David Luiz, Petr Cech. Probably Hazard being my favorite of the bunch, but obviously being an American, Christian Pulisic has a special place in my heart. And I really enjoy Cole Palmer right now in the current team. He's a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, hopefully things get better. Flip up a little bit. That's serviceable. Oh, that was mean. All right, so Benny wants to know where I got my Burella rock. And for those of you who don't know what that is, let me just show you quick. This is my Burella rock. This is a Rock 3 that was made by Innova for the 2015 season, where he won AM Worlds and US AMs in the same year. I actually got this kind of randomly. Whenever Foundation bought Supreme Flight, which was another company, they had a bunch of inventory, a lot of random stuff. This disc was part of that. I snagged it because I've always been a fan of AB, and it's incredible. I will say, unfortunately, it's starting to get a little understable, which is fine, but I might have to put in another Rock 3 soon. But it has been very good to me for a long time. I need to go left. There we go. All right. Oh man, thought I had it. Reed wants to know, what is my highest rated round of disc golf ever? It's not that great. So I played most of the competitive PDGA sanctioned rounds I've ever played within college disc golf. At least back when I was playing, those rounds were notorious for having really bad ratings. It was like college disc golf as a whole was just like this place you couldn't escape of, where ratings just never got good. And you had really talented players that were still only rated like 970, even though they were way better than that. And so it just never grew. It was really weird. Any case, the best round I ever played, I came in second or third at a collegiate tournament, played the best golf of my life, and I think it rated like 978. The winner of that tournament rated like 989, and I promise you, from other tournaments I've played in and all the golf I've seen, my round should have rated close to 1,000, and the winner should have rated like 1040. Like it was completely skewed. So that might be excuse making, but to answer your question, I think it was like 978, maybe it got to 980, something like that. You can probably see on my PDGA profile if it hasn't expired yet. Oh, that could be really nice. This is a 500-foot par 4. Got favorable wind today. That'll putt. Get in left. Woohoo! The putt is getting better. It is getting marginally better, not to jinx myself. Perfect timing for this question after I finally made a putt. But the question is, how do I get through my putting woes just mentally? And the answer is, the thing about my career as a disc golfer at this point is I play on camera, I play to entertain. I don't do a lot of competitive disc golf. So back when I was playing competitively and I was taking disc golf really, really seriously, putting woes were definitely weighing on me a lot more heavily. Nowadays, whenever my putt is struggling, I kind of just have to turn it into a bit for the camera. Not that it's a bit like I'm not trying, but a bit is in like, I have to make it entertaining. Like some people like watching me miserable when I'm putting badly, and sometimes I lean into that, but I kind of just have to not take it super seriously and just lean into how funny it is when I can't putt. Because sometimes it is really funny when I'm just missing all over the place. And usually after enough time, I'm able to figure something out that gets me a little bit back on track. It doesn't last forever. So yeah, I kind of just ride out the waves by laughing at myself, just realizing that it's, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. I've never been a great putter. It's not like I'm losing something that I once had. I've never been a great putter, so I think that makes it easier too. But yeah, just trying to have fun. I don't like love the adage of like, just have fun, you'll get through it. You know, remember, it's all about fun. Like I get competitive disc golf. I'm just not in that arena anymore, so it's a little easier for me to do that. A little bit left, a little bit left. There's that Supra, there's that Supra. I get this one a lot. What would I have done if I didn't join Hunter at Foundation? A lot of people I think are curious about this because since I've had such a unique path in my life and my career and what I do for a living, you know, what would I have done if I just took a more normal, more common path in life like I was planning on doing until something crazy happened? Best answer I can give is it wouldn't have changed certain elements of my life because I was already dating my now wife. We still would have got married. We may have moved out of Virginia. Well, would have moved probably out of Virginia. I'm from Pennsylvania. She's from North Carolina. We probably would have moved to one of those two states. I majored in sport management and minored in business in college. I probably would have tried to find a sports job somewhere, get plugged in, use what connections I had, and try and work in the sports industry somewhere. It's what I wanted to do. So I don't really know. Who knows? I could have been working for a professional sports team or delivering mail for UPS. I have no idea. But yeah, that's not how it worked out. I hate this hole. That felt good, you know, that was a decent upshot putt, and I'm kind of bad at those lately. All right, one more question about the Finish Line signature disc thing. What kind of disc will my signature disc be with Finish Line? I can't spoil too much, but I think you probably have a decent guess if you've watched this video so far. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It's a great disc that glides and anybody can use it, and it's the Finish Line mold I like the most. So there you go. That hooked on my finger. Oh, that's too high. Decent line though. I said I was gonna answer the last question about my signature disc thing. I kind of lied, but kind of not. So this question was, what was the process of getting your sponsorship? I'm gonna make this a broad question, not just about my scenario. I know you're sick of hearing about that. But like how to get sponsored in general, because I think this is a question a lot of people have, and the answer has evolved. Because when I first got into disc golf, when I was like 13 years old, I remember emailing Innova Discs asking for a sponsorship, and they basically told me, let us know when you're 1,000 rated. And that used to be how it was. Like 1,000 rated was like this threshold to get sponsored. Nowadays, there are creative ways to get sponsored. If somebody were to ask me, what is the quickest way I can get sponsored? I would say two things. Number one, start a disc golf social media page right away. Start posting constantly, all the time. Just throwing shots, doing whatever you want to do. Grow a following, because as soon as you have a following, you are now valuable to a company. I have now been sponsored 2 separate occasions, and it was only because of my social following. It has nothing to do with my disc golf skill. So that's the biggest piece of advice I could give you. If you want to just be sponsored, do that. Also, there are a lot of street teams you can get on just by being involved in your disc golf community. The street teams is, you know, people have their opinions about them, but you can't argue that they are a foot in the door. Alden Harris for Prodigy, he started as a street team member. So at least gets eyeballs on you. Just something to think about. Too low. Get through there. Poop. Oh, that's decent though. It's a good line. So this is not a question I get a ton these days, mostly because people just think I suck at disc golf. And that's partially true, but this question is, do I have any aspirations to compete on the Pro Tour in the future? Honestly, no. I wish I could. If I were like, I'm kind of glad I am the golfer I am if that makes sense, where like I'm just fine at disc golf, because I think if I were like a little bit better, I might get really caught up in the idea of trying to get on tour, because it does look like a lot of fun. But I haven't had aspirations of playing professional disc golf since I was probably 15 years old, honestly, because maybe once I first got to college and I still wanted to feel it out. But to be honest, I started playing disc golf really young. I was ahead of the curve. If I would have committed everything to disc golf at that time, maybe I could have gotten on tour. I would say probably could have gotten on tour, just because I would have dedicated much more to it, but I didn't, and here's where I am, and that's okay. I'll let them do the tour stuff. They're really good. Do you just not love that? Hit a little tree though. Oh! Oh! All right, just a few questions left. This one is, where did I grow up? I grew up in a town called Dover, Pennsylvania, in York County. It is in south central PA, so pretty close to the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, and like halfway between Philly and Pittsburgh. So yeah, small, kind of rural town, not too much going on, but I loved it. It's a good time. And yes, so shout out if you're from York County. Unless you're from West York, don't mess with them. Oh, that's way inside. Sometimes that works though. Yeah, the funny thing about throwing it way inside is at least you get up there. That's just encouraging. This question comes from K Walker, and he was wondering, is there a specific pro whose form that I tried to model? And the answer is yes. When I first started playing, that pro was Will Schustrick, no doubt. Loved Will Schustrick's game. My form used to be very much that slow, like reach back Will Schustrick throw. Then when I started following Paul, I kind of threw in that. So, but that's how I learned to play disc golf, is just watching other pros. And what I ended up with was an abomination of what I have now. So yeah, shout out Will Schustrick. I needed to flip up more. That is so high. Yikes. The finesser professor coming in. Is that gonna roll out of bounds? No. Shout out this chain on the ground, the OB chain that just kept me in bounds. Into a headwind? Never a problem, just aim low. Missile. All right, we're on hole 18. Last question, what is my favorite video I've ever shot with Foundation? This one is easy for me. That is when we went to Winthrop Gold to play at USDGC before, like right before they started the tournament. This was 2 years ago. First time I've ever gotten to play that course. It's like my dream course. Actually, I capped. Not the first time I'd ever gotten to play that course. I got to play it in college, but the first time I got to play the entirety of the course and in the exact same layout. It was awesome, and I got crushed. Oh, I needed that to turn a little bit. Don't kick down. All right, that is it for the Q&A. Thanks to everybody who asked questions on Instagram. Thanks again for watching the video. We're almost to 20,000 subscribers. We're going to be doing a huge giveaway at 20K, so hit that subscribe button if you have not yet, and I will see you next Monday.